Welcome on back, beautiful people. It's another beautiful day out here in San Antonio, Texas. Episode 19 of the Busy Bee Mindset. I'm surprised we made it this far. And yes, I do have bedhead. I did just recently wake up, so my hair is not perfect. But I've got a haircut scheduled right after this walk, so I'll be looking fresh in just a couple more minutes. That being said, though, today I wanted to talk about chapter 5 that I just finished reading in Never Quit by David Goggins. I listened to the Audible. I honestly prefer the Audible. I love listening to the podcast after the fact and hearing the mindset of Goggins and going over the actual chapter itself. But this particular chapter was the chapter after he finishes Leadville, the 100-mile race. And this was the race that he had done years after he had done it the first time in the book Can't Hurt Me. I believe this time he did it with his new fiancée. Her name is Kish, and she had seen him finish for the first time. The chapter is called Disciple of Discipline. And in the beginning of this chapter, it's pretty much a transitional phase into learning more about Goggins' history and Goggins' grandfather, because his body's completely shut down. Right? You do a 100-mile run, I would assume anybody who does that, their body is going to shut down at the end of it. It's just so much work. It's pretty much almost overtraining yourself. Yes, he trained for it, but still doing 100 miles in one go in 22 hours is absolutely crazy for the body. And so he's literally just lying out on his fiance's bed, mattress, whatever, and he's just crashing out. As a matter of fact, he kind of releases his bowels and everything, and she needs to clean them up. Like, he literally just can't move a muscle. It's crazy, and she's worried for his life as he's pretty much getting ready to pass out. But he's actually thinking in his mindset like, no, this is the breakdown phase. This is the phase that I actually love. I love this phase because it's telling me that I was able to do what I said I was going to do. I was able to push through all that pain, and this is my reward. That's just how he thinks, which is crazy. But I'm sure anybody could have that sense of pride as well if they truly did finish that entire run in almost a record time as well. But that being said, like, as he's pretty much passing out so that he could pretty much get some rest, he starts imagining these things like someone telling him to wake up, wake up. And when he opens his eyes, he sees his grandpa. But to him, it's not really grandpa. To him, it's Sergeant Jack. And we pretty much go back in time again, where in his past. And I believe the last time we did that, his mom had just recently left his father and his brother because she wasn't going to live with him anymore, and they were living on their own. So she ends up going to her parents. Her parents are helping her out, and we meet Grandpa Jack for the first time when Goggins is only 8 years old. And when he introduces him to Goggins, he even tells him like, hey, listen, you're going to address me as Sergeant Jack. And that was pretty much the relationship from the start. The relationship was not Grandpa, not Pop. No, it was Sergeant Jack, because he was in the military. I forgot what branch he was in. But this man was a man who didn't graduate 4th grade, right? Like, he didn't move past 4th grade. Wasn't his fault. The main purpose of it was mainly because his family needed him to start working to support the family at the time. And so he's just a hardworking man who didn't have a formal education, but he did go to the military. He did end up having a house free and clear. He had multiple cars that he was already paid off, and he had money in the bank. Like, this dude knew that hard work and consistent effort is going to give you freedom in your life, or at least what he believed was his freedom, right? And so that's what Goggins had to go through when he was going up. Sergeant Jack, the minute he met him, was pretty much The way that Goggins says it, he says he starts giving him a walkthrough of the house, especially of the garage, as though that he's a newly hired employee, and showing him like, hey, this is where the rake is, this is where the shovel is, this is where all the material is, the lawnmowers, because, well, if Goggins is gonna live there and they're not gonna pay for rent, essentially Sergeant Jack is gonna make sure that things are getting done on a daily basis. And there were these daily chores that were mandatory for Goggins to complete. And the mom wouldn't be able to do so because she was already working 2 jobs, and she was even going to school to earn her master's degree and keep moving forward in life elsewhere. But yeah, Goggins had to start doing all these crazy chores, right? Like cleaning the gutter, mowing the lawn, you name it, like wiping, cleaning all of his cars, waxing all of the cars. And the thing about Sergeant Jack is he was very strict. He was a man of few words as well, because if you did the job right, he would give you a nod of approval, like, good, you did it. If you did the job wrong, he would give you a nod of disapproval and you got to do it again. And Goggins needed to finish these chores, otherwise he wouldn't be able to go out to play with his friends, play basketball, play whatever it is he wants to do. And Goggins hated this at the time because none of his friends would be able to, were doing any chores, right? Maybe they were doing a couple, but they weren't doing nearly as much as he was. And there were countless of times where Goggins would pretty much half-ass the job. And even though he did that, he would have to keep on doing the chore over and over and over again until Sergeant Jack said, okay, you're good to go. But every day, it was a ritual. Sergeant Jack would come in, he would tell him wake up, he would give him a first time warning, right? Like wake up, wake up. If he didn't wake up, there were times where Goggins wanted to rebel and be like, no, I'm not gonna wake up. Well, he would come in and he would pour a glass of water over his face. Goggins still would try to be rebellious and he would just be like, no, like I'm not waking up. And he would come in with a metal trash can bin and a wooden spoon and then just start hammering that thing like a musical cymbal, right? And he would just be like, boom, wake up, until he got up. Like there was no if, ands, or buts in this man's house. You were living a certain type of way no matter what. And it was tough for an 8-year-old child to kind of live through that. It's pretty rough, right? But a couple of months go in, and I think it was 6 months, and Goggins decided, you know what, like I'm gonna stop complaining, I'm gonna stop getting in over my head, I'm just gonna do the job the way that I know that he wants me to do this job. I'm gonna wake up when he tells me to wake up, and I'm just gonna do it, and I'm gonna stop thinking about everything. At the time, he didn't realize that Sergeant Jack was a disciple of discipline. He was consistent in everything that he did. He was always practical in time. He was very well respected. This is his military training that never ended. It kept on going outside of his life as well. And it was this that was teaching Goggins pretty much how to live without him realizing it. He was never taught this. And so for the first time, Goggins actually started to get a sense of pride in his work, a sense of respect. Because now, when he did all of that stuff, when he wanted to at least, when he chose to at least, he told himself that if I did something wrong, if I messed up in any little way, I would actually get annoyed because I wouldn't do it the way it's supposed to be done. I actually felt a sense of pride having it done in perfect condition. And it was great for me because I realized that I was actually doing some really good hard work and improving myself. And he started to realize that, you know, sometimes being a disciple of discipline is really great mentally. He didn't understand why that happened, but he did understand that that's how he was feeling. Fast forward a little bit more into the future. Now we're in high school. We're no longer with Sergeant Jack anymore. And he digressed, right? Because he didn't have someone looking over his back anymore. He didn't have somebody telling him like, you got to do this, you got to do that. And now, at the end of high school, He didn't really do things by the book anymore. He had fallen backwards. And he remembered that whenever he was being disciplined, that he was at his best self. And this is something that I can definitely relate to as well, right? There's so many times, I think I've mentioned this before, where like I've done the 75 hard challenge, and that's an extremely tough, mentally tough challenge. I've completed that 3 separate times, and every time that I've done that, I've come out a much better person, a much stronger person, a much more positive person, and I feel the best. But I always falter back a little bit. I do that hard thing, and then I just coax and I relax. I become a little bit complacent, and I don't get as much done as I want to get done. But I always transition myself back into the mindset of I need to get this done. I have to get this done because this is what's going to help move me forward, right? If I just sit down and do nothing, then nothing is going to change in my life. I feel like it's just something so easy for us as human beings to fall back on. Like we just go back to what's comfortable. Or like recently I got extremely sick, and ever since that I've recovered, I haven't been able to get back on track the way that I would like to on a consistent basis. And I'm having to slowly build back up to that. The fact that I'm out here walking right now and making this video is a step forward for me, right? Maybe I miss a day or two, but I'm not gonna miss every single day of the week. I can't let myself do that. And I am gonna get myself back on track into what will consistently move me forward, because that's what helps me stay positive. That's what helps me keep on going. And when I do this 3-day routine that I've got going on, then I am a disciple of discipline in my own manner, because it doesn't have to be the same task that all these other people do. Your disciple of discipline could be whatever it is that you want to do to move forward in your life, whatever it is that you know will help you out to keep on going forward. If we don't work out, if we don't do something positive for ourselves outside of work, then it's very tough for us to be happy. I truly believe that. Unless you absolutely love what it is that you do at work, it's very tough to be happy, to feel like you're moving forward, because nothing is going on outside of your life. It's just work. And I think most people can agree that, well, yeah, they don't really want work to be their life, especially in today's day and age. We'll go back to the audible though, but he pretty much just explains that he realizes he needs to get back on track. He needs to start waking up at 5 in the morning. Nobody's looking back on him anymore and telling him to do this, but his Uncle Jack, Sergeant Jack, did that for him. And so he started getting into that mindset. When he had to lose all that weight to get into the Navy SEALs, he had to get into that mindset of, I need to lose all this weight. And then when he walked across stage to be commemorated, he actually locked eyes with Sergeant Jack, who had never shown him any emotion, who had never given him like a bunch of love. It was always just seriousness with him. And as he's walking down the stage, they lock eyes, and he noticed that there was a single tear going down his face. And that's when he realized that he was proud to be Goggins' grandfather. And that was a very emotional moment for him. So the whole point of that was Goggins learned from his uncle, from his grandpa, that being a disciple of discipline is something that gives you the privilege to keep on moving forward and be proud of what it is that you do. Have the self-respect in what it is that you do on a daily, consistent basis, no compromises. I'm still struggling to find that myself. I'm still struggling to find the thing that I'm gonna do every single day without any compromise, because I always start, and a lot of the times I just fall short, and then I start again, fall short, and then I start again. But I always bounce back a lot faster than I did before, and I don't stay complacent for as long as I did before. And so hopefully this message hits you guys hard. Hopefully this help somebody out there. And if you notice yourself in that cycle, in that pattern, that's okay. It's human tendency to do that. But just make sure that you're self-aware and make sure that you act on it and figure out a plan that can help you keep acting on it. But that's all I got. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for listening to me. If you stayed this long, if you like the content, subscribe and follow. I'm always going to be posting some kind of positive material on here, or just some mindset thoughts, right, of like what I have to go through and how I approach things. I'm not no guru or anything, but I'm somebody else who has an opinion and who might just have a similar mindset as you. So stay tuned for more. Until then, adios.